The Willowing Cry. Cast of characters. John, lost son in war, wife has cancer and will die soon. 40s, depressed, bitter. Robert, a widower, lost father and uncle in a car crash recently. 30s, grief-filled but optimistic, life will go on, well-meaning and helpful. Place, at the National Mall between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. Takes place in 2011, after the end of the Iraq War. Time mid-afternoon. Act. Two men are wandering endlessly in the pretty scenery, lost in their own pain and sorrows, not paying attention to the reality around them. Mingling all around them is people going their own way in false hopes and fake securities. Amusing and not paying attention. Robert bumped into an older gentleman, which sent both men reeling to the ground. Tired and angry, John sat on the bench behind him and glared at the stranger. Robert, feeling bad, sat as well, leading to a change neither would ever seen coming nor experience ever again. John, annoyed, said, "Watch where you are going, you careless ruffian." Robert, apologetic, said, "My apologies, sir. My mind was elsewhere." John said, "Excuses. My mind is blind too, but clear enough to not run into others." Robert said, "Apologies once again. We did seem to get off on the wrong foot, and fretting here will do us no good." John said, "I see the mistake here. My emotions have been off as of late if I'm to be fair in taking my own blame of this incident." Robert said, you too. Tragedies have been falling me lately, and live is becoming harder to love any further." John said, being curious, "You seem well and alive. What pain can you possibly know to hate life like I do?" Robert said, "I see you speak in anger, in a hollow strength. What destroys you so?" John said, "My love is dying, and my life has just died. All I have is depression on my left and loneliness on my right. I've gotten to know them well." Robert said, "Your wife and family?" John said, "Yes, my son was killed in Iraq, and my wife will die within the month from breast cancer. All that is left is a hurting heart and angry mask to keep hurt further away." Robert said, "Death is a great loss indeed. However, what becomes the greater loss is what dies inside you while you live." John said, "You sound so certain and calm, but only one who feels the pain of loss could say those words truly. What have you lost in your understanding? How can you understand my pain?" Robert said, "My father and uncle recently were hit and killed by a drunk driver, and my wife was lost 3 years before that due to pregnancy complication." John, sadly asking, "Any survivors?" Roberts, accepting, said, "None. Unfortunately, the child was stillborn and she bled out. My family died at the same hospital, all from a careless drunk." John, anger exploding, said, "What are you hiding? How are you so calm? Do you not care that you are now alone like me? It kills me and I cannot escape. How can you not feel the tears and fears such as mine?" Robert said, "Death ends life, but never the relationships I've had. Even death itself has a heart. The things we lose or cannot accept always have a way of returning to us in the end." John said, "What is you are trying to lecture me about?" Robert said, "What I mean to say is, you seem to bottle everything up, close everything and everyone off, only to have it eat you up one piece at a time until you disappear a fragile man." John said, "I do. I can't nor know how to cope yet. You seem content in your words and life." Robert said, "I had to move, keep my mind wide open. I had come to the conclusion that death, while eternal and sad, is peaceful. While life is harder, it is frightful to me not to live." John said, "What is left to see when your life is no longer yours?" Robert said, "The leftovers, the things not yet done. You still can travel and conquer what you have not yet seen or done. You look at the despair instead of the happiness." John said, "What happiness?" All I see is death, sadness creeping up on me, and it makes the memories too painful to me. Robert said, I see now. You're angry that you can't help or change what is happening all around you. John, shocked, said, Is it that obvious? I feel I may be sharing too much with you, but I feel slightly more whole. Robert, understanding, said, Forgive yourself for what you can't do. If you truly wish to see who you are, you have to look at your real self and acknowledge what you see. John said, You talk like a comrade of pain, knowing what it feels like to be in pain. Exactly the reason to be kind to and for others. Robert, amused, says, Comrade, huh? How about a new friend so you're not alone? John, leaning back happier, said, A friend is something I haven't heard of in a while. I like that very much. Robert said, Does one not destroy an enemy if they become my friend? John said, I suppose you do. Silence follows for a few minutes. Robert says, The way to go on for B was not being sad, but happy I have the time and memories to share with loved ones while alive. So no matter how much suffering you have now, one day you will never want to let go of these memories. John said, I see. I think one thing that would bother me forever is the regret and past that can't be relieved no matter how hard I try. Robert says, all may seem dark and doubtful when dealing with regret. All one can do is to end up with the right regrets. Both said, We loved, we saw much, and suffered greatly. That's all there is to living life completely. John said, Do you have more time to talk? You have been a short comfort, and I wish it not to end so soon. Robert said, being surprised, Time is manageable, especially to a new friend. Both decided to walk among the sights. John said the war doesn't really seem quite over just yet. Robert said, Maybe not, but for us it will be sooner rather than later. John says, Then Robert is said, It is older men like us that declare war, while the youth must fight it and die for it as well. John said, Indeed, only those who die in a war can truly see an end to it. Robert said, You can say your son dedicated his life to justice for his fellow human beings, and he died because of that effort. Or you can be filled with bitterness, with hatred. After all, nobody truly knows what kind of person they truly are until the very end. John said, I'm not as once was because of you. I feel I can accept my son's actions not as just his father, but his fellow patriot in arms. I can feel some peace from it knowing he chose to do it and died for it. Robert said, What of your wife? John said, I've come to the conclusion you could see a person's whole life in the cancer that appears. She's fought and held on for many years. It's a willowing cry that eats away at her. It kills her spirit, but never quite fully the soul. Robert says, You've been touched by cancer. However, you're not a life destroyed by it. John said, You made me realize the ultimate truth in our talk today. It makes me feel as if I can go further than before. Robert, softly grinning, said, What is it then? John, softly smirking, said, Despite death or unexpected tragedies, we all have the same life expectancy. One life, that's all we will ever get. Robert said, I like to think so as well. Coming near a train station, John said, It would seem this is my final stop. Robert said, I see the time went by faster than expected. It was quite the experience meeting a person like yourself. We are all alike in the companionship of pain and friendship. John said, Likewise, I can't help but feel you were a saving grace for me. The train starts to appear in distance. Robert says, I guess this is the end of the road. John said, It would seem so. Robert, at peace, said, Glad I could help. My name is Rob, by the way. John said, frantic, I'm John. Will I ever see you again? Robert said, Of course. How about the same time and same place next week? Both said, "It works for me." Train finally arrives. John says, "Till next, Rob. Goodbye for now." Train takes off into the distance. Rob says, "Yeah, till next time." Rob slowly walks off into the distance, disappearing into the setting sunset.